Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I decided to do another Discord Q&A. So first of all, I guess thank you for posting all of your questions in there. I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys so much for all of that. If you do want to take part in these Q&As, definitely go follow the Discord. I will leave a link down below if you do want to join the Discord. It's just in the description. The server name is Appetite for the Dead. There's a lot of Walking Dead discussion going on there. There's a bunch of stuff in there. So yeah, I hope to see you guys there. But of course, before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. But let's get into the first question here. So, do you think Morgan will end up reuniting with the main group by the end of Fear the Walking Dead? I personally don't see it happening. Like, I guess if you mean the main group of, like, The Walking Dead, like, if you mean that, then no, I don't see it happening. But if you mean, like, the main group on Fear the Walking Dead, then yeah, I do see them reuniting in the end. But the way I picture Morgan's story ending on Fear the Walking Dead really is as simple as, like, he sort of says his goodbye and then he just kind of leaves and goes somewhere else. Like, I really do see it playing out a lot like Daryl's ending on The Walking Dead, where Daryl kind of just rides his bike off into the sunset sort of thing, right? I kind of picture it being like that, where Morgan has to go do something else. And then I think it's going to be related to the spinoffs, because I do think we're going to see that character again. Yeah, that's kind of how I see his story ending. But before he does that, I do see there being a reunion. And I mean, we'll have to see what this Padre story really is and how much it's going to play a role overall in this story here. Obviously, it's going to play a big role, but we only have 12 episodes. So, I mean, we're going to be going through it pretty fast, I'd imagine, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. If Rick and Michonne want to return home, do you think Jadis has to die since she knows where they live and would probably lead the CRM there? As of now, I don't really think she would be the one to do that. Like, just because of some of the set photos and stuff like that, I don't think Jadis would do that. You know, although I would say Jadis probably has told the CRM everything about Rick and Michonne, right? About where they're located and everything. So I think if Rick and Michonne wanted to leave, I do think that, or I guess Rick anyways, if Rick wanted to leave, I do think that would always be sort of a threat that's there. And I think that could be one of the reasons Rick hasn't left yet. You know, like obviously it is hard for him to escape. We did see in the finale he tried to, but it's possible that after that, you know, there could have been some threats made by the CRM. So we have no idea as of now, but I don't think Jadis is going to be the one responsible, you know, in terms of giving Rick that ultimatum, just saying, like, you have to stay here or else this is going to happen sort of thing. So yeah, but I mean, if you're asking me, will Jadis die in general, I do think Jadis is going to die on this show. I don't know about season 1, but I think Jadis is definitely going to be dying on the show. Q&A, do you think all of these shows could lead to a massive fight between our group and the CRM? You know, that's something that I really want, but like, I just have the hardest time actually picturing it happening. You know, I really want it to be like the Commonwealth versus the CRM, and it's like this really epic fight, right? Because the Commonwealth were essentially on their side now. Like, you know, I guess, I think Mercer or Ezekiel, who was the leader? Because I think they sort of split duties or something like that, right? There was I can't remember exactly what happened in the ending there, but yeah, I mean, obviously we have the Commonwealth on our side now, but I just kind of seeing any sort of thing play out where it looks like really epic and everything, I have a hard time viewing. I do think it could happen though, but again, it really depends on certain elements to it, because like the budget of these shows, obviously it has to play a big role in all of that, right? Can I picture, you know, Commonwealth soldiers and CRM soldiers actually fighting and us getting something, you know, like All Out War? Yeah, I could definitely see that, but it's probably going to look a lot like All Out War, right? Like, it's going to look a lot like season 8 did in terms of a war. We're going to have a lot of people out there or whatever, but it's going to feel very small scale. And unless they did something in terms of like CGI and whatever, that's just sort of how I view it playing out. Like, I don't know how much they're going to want to do there, because I know sometimes they do go all out in terms of CGI and stuff. Like, if you've seen Walker hordes and stuff, like they went nuts in season 10, right? Like they really went all out there, and that was really awesome. So it depends. They could go all out and they could do a bunch of CGI for CRM or Commonwealth soldiers, you know, just to have, like, if you're having an overall or overview shot of like this big field or whatever, and you have a bunch of soldiers there, you know, obviously you would have to do some CGI. You would hope so anyways, to make it look more, you know, like massive. But I just have a hard time picturing all of that in terms of these shows and stuff, because everything feels so small scale. So I want it to happen. I really do want it to happen. But I just kind of see it playing out more like it's going to be CRM versus just our group. And it's not going to be necessarily versus the Commonwealth. I just think it's just going to be, yeah, I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. You know, like it depends on where, you know, Dead City goes and where some of the story goes there. Maybe Maggie's the one who, maybe eventually in Dead City they run into the CRM and then somehow they're, you know, they get this army together. But we'll have to wait and see. I have no idea. If John and Rick fought, who would win? Both have prep time. So I'm assuming you mean John Dory. I mean, I feel like I would have to go with Rick. I don't know why. Like, I honestly don't really know why I would pick Rick. Maybe it's because he's my favorite character. I mean, yeah, I think I would have to choose Rick just because of that. Q&A, assuming we get introduced to Major General Beale in the Rick and Michonne spinoff, who would you like to see him casted as? Man, you know, I've actually been thinking about this a lot the last few days. I think one actor I would absolutely love to see play the role would be Tony Todd. Just because of, I mean, obviously the voice, obviously, you know, if you've watched Candyman or a bunch of the other things that he's done, like it's that voice, it's that presence. And I think that would just be so epic, but it really depends, you know, as of now, I don't really know who could play the role exactly, but I just, in terms of what I want from the character specifically, I just want the character to feel menacing and terrifying and to feel a little bit more evil than the governor. You know, that's kind of what I want, is someone like that. I don't want somebody who's going to be, you know, more of a jokester like Negan, or be a little bit more crazy like Alpha, or more political and like, you know, normal and whatever like Pamela Milton. Like I want somebody who's going to be a little bit more like the governor in that sense, who just seems like a villain, but like is very, very evil and just very, you know, corrupt and like just doesn't care at all. You know, I want someone like that. I think they would be a really awesome villain. And I just think that, you know, first of all, I think they need their own iconic music. I think they have to go all out with a character like that for sure, because it's just always sort of worked. You know, the best villains in the show, I think I've always had all of that. So that's more of what I'm looking at. I'm more looking at like those aspects to it. And I don't really have anyone in mind to play the role. Like I just sort of thought of Tony Todd in the last couple of days and I was like, oh man, he'd be so perfect for the role. But Q&A, as the series has been progressing, we've begun to see the rotting of the zombies in effect, as in every new season, the walkers look more and more decayed. Do you think that this rot will affect the special zombies that are teased in the French end credit scene? I'm assuming so, probably. I do think that the walkers overall are probably going to be still the same. I am wondering, though, about the abilities of some of the walkers, I guess. Like, if you do picture some of the walkers on The Walking Dead, you know, some of them are so decayed they're just bone, right? And obviously they still move like a normal walker. Well, what about the more aggressive, fast-running zombies, you know, in the UK and France and whatnot? Like, how would they react and move and whatnot if they're just completely bone, right? Are they still going to be the same? I think The Walking Dead should be in a place right now where they do focus on zombies and mutating them and making them a little bit more exciting. I really do think they should, because they obviously have a lot of the character development stuff down. A lot of that stuff is really fun, but I really want them to focus on that aspect to it. Like, just focus on making zombies very scary, very terrifying. And that's why I think this Daryl show is going to be a big hit. It's going to be because of that. And it depends on how much they show those zombies. That's the thing, right? Like, what if that variant of zombie is a little bit more rare to come by? You know, that definitely would be frustrating, because, I mean, that's a big, you know, appealing factor to the Daryl show is, you know, focusing on those zombies there. And I think it's about time. I think you can do that. Like, it just makes everything that much more terrifying, because now when you're running around in France, like, you need to hide. You definitely need to make sure the walls that you're in are very secure, because, I mean, it's going to be hard to outrun them. That's the thing. If you're running from these zombies, I don't think they have like energy or anything like that. They're probably just going to be running forever. So like they're going to outrun you, right? Q&A, do you think they're setting up a Negan and Maggie relationship? No, I don't at all. I really don't at all. Like, I know I joked around about that like last year or whatever, but I really don't think they're going to go down that road. I think that is really, really crazy to go down. And I just think that it just doesn't really make too much sense for the characters at all. It just really doesn't. Those characters are just, you know, we saw at the end of season 11 that it was just, there's really nothing there. They don't even like each other. Like, they just really don't like each other and don't want to be around each other. So I think that, no, I think if you're a writer on this show, you never want to make that happen. Like, everyone would be joking around about that forever. And I think a lot of people would laugh about it. So no, I don't think they'll ever do that. Q&A, do you think that season 11 would have been better off without the Reaper arc or Leah? Because after the arc ended, nothing in the overall story changed since Leah died. If they removed the Reaper arc, they would have been able to cram a lot more plot into the Commonwealth arc instead of having that rushed job that the show finale had. Yeah, I agree with that completely. Like, I really wanted Leah to be a bigger character. I thought when they were introducing Leah as this like new, I guess partner or whatever for Daryl, I thought that, oh wow, they're actually going to be doing something with Daryl here. But no, they ended up doing nothing with the character. They just kind of, I don't know, like, to me, Leah really served no purpose to the overall story of the Walking Dead. I really like the character. It's just that she hasn't really, done anything in terms of, just where the story is at right now. Like, if you completely removed her and the Reaper arc, like, there's really nothing that they contributed really to the story, right? If you really think about it, like, Alexandria was struggling after the Whisperer arc, right? Like, they were really struggling. They needed food and whatnot, and they just weren't getting that at all. You'd figure that the Reapers in some way would, it would benefit them in that way, which technically, yeah, they came back with food, but it just overall didn't matter because the Commonwealth were right there and then eventually supplied them with resources, right? Like, that was something that the Commonwealth was about to do anyways. And I think you could have involved a lot of them struggling in Alexandria for food and stuff like that within the Commonwealth arc, like in the beginning, where they needed these resources. But a lot of that didn't matter. Like, it really obviously was sort of a thing. Like, I know they talked about it at the Hilltop quite a bit, but overall, they didn't even get into that. Like, they didn't talk about that. It wasn't really a story point or a story element here in the season. So I think that part there, that was stuff that they focused on like years ago. They would focus on little things like that. Like, how are we going to build this place up? How are we going to get food here? You focus on these real life things, the real reality, I guess, that our characters are facing. But in season 11, they didn't really focus on that. They just focused on these bigger plot points. And I think I would agree. I do think they messed up overall, like, I think with the Reaper arc and Leah. And the last question here, do you think they'll show a flashback of Heath after he was with Tara and while Jada's captured him? No, I don't see them doing that. I think that would be a lot for them to do. I don't even know if Heath will ever return. Maybe, but if he does, I think he'll just be there in the current timeline. I don't think they're ever going to go back and do a flashback. But anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you guys so much for posting all of your questions. I really did appreciate it. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.